Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Man, I thought we had sticker shock when we saw our utilities bill, our power bill. Man, thankfully, we don't have natural gas like a lot of people in this town. Wow, crazy. We'll get to that here in just a moment. I've got several tabs open to discuss with you. Believe it or not, very few tonight, thankfully, on COVID-related things or war-related things. I've got a lot of stuff that I would kind of file under miscellaneous, if you will. Some really interesting stuff as well. So, howdy, I don't know how that's pronounced, if it's Leol, but howdy. So, like I said, I've got some interesting stuff to talk with you about, and I do want to address, I got some messages from last night's show, and I'm thinking I'm doing pretty good. I've got 4 good messages, 4 messages of positivity, and 1 message that was somebody not very happy with me. Here's the thing, and I'm just going to make a quick address on this, and that's that. Number 1, if you don't want people to know the truth, if you don't want people's eyes to be opened, if you don't want them to see clearly, why is that? That would be my first question. And I think the answer is largely tribalism, just like I spoke about last night. The other thing, it's not a question, it's more of a statement. But we're supposed to be preppers, right? And if we can't handle some harsh truths, how in the hell are we going to handle SHTF? If we can't handle someone being honest with us, and I guess that is a question, how is it that we're going to be able to handle what's to come? It's not a question to answer me, it's a question to answer yourself. I'm telling you, I've said it many times on this show, one of the most detrimental things to this country is because, and I have to throw myself in there, myself included, we are such a pampered society. Myself included. I said not that long ago on a show that, I've never been homeless over having to couch surf a little bit once in a while in my younger days. But as far as homeless, no, I've never dealt with that. As far as starvation, I've been hungry before, but not like that, and most of the time it was my own doing. A lot of us just haven't gone through what many others have in other nations. What is much more of a norm for others in other nations. And to me, that's a testament as to how strong this nation at least was. I have a feeling it's going to make a downturn, and things are going to get extremely rough for a lot more people than they already are. But, a lot of us haven't seen the type of hard times that I think is on its way. And, this with the natural gas and stuff, the prices, I think is just kind of the beginning of that. The shortages, the inflation, that's just the beginning. We are beginning the birth pains. And there's a lot to come. I don't mean to be a downer, but I want to be honest with you. I want you to be honest with yourself. And I want you to understand that we're going to have to, all of us, toughen up. I've said this before about myself. I don't like killing things. Right? If I go fishing, man, I'd rather catch and release. Really. And, I don't mind catching if somebody else is. The cleaning it don't gross me out or anything else. I'll clean them. I'll catch them, I'll clean them. But I would much rather prefer somebody else kill them. Probably sounds a little nuts. But I don't like causing death. Now, it doesn't mean I won't. If I'm in a survival situation, you better bet I'll hunt, I'll fish. It is what it is. If I'm in a position to where my life or the lives of the people around me are in danger, you better bet I'm going to respond, and there will be no hesitation. But I won't like it. And right now, during these times, if I don't have to take life, whether it be that of a fish or a human, I would rather not. I would rather not. It literally hits me when I do. And I didn't used to always be that way, by the way. Back in the day, because I do enjoy fishing. Back in the day, I didn't think twice of it. Catch a fish, kill it, clean it. And again, I don't mind cleaning it. It's not about a gross factor. It's about taking that life. And that is one thing that I am going to have to deal with. And I know that. And I would imagine that there are parts of SHTF that most of us will struggle with. It's better to look those monsters in the eye right now. It really, truly is. More spam. I wished I could quit the spam that comes from email addresses in the form of text messages to my phone. It drives me nuts. I'm just saying, we got hard times coming. And I would hope that folks would not be okay with individuals that are taking advantage of others or misleading others and sometimes flat out lying. I would hope folks aren't okay with that. And I know one thing, anybody that would be okay with that wouldn't be welcome in my tribe. Plain and simple. Anyway, I'm not going to get on a big subject with that. There's no need to. I just wanted to address that. Because, again, I got 4 messages that were extremely positive and one not so much. And, the Father didn't put me here to make people feel good. And when I say here, I'm talking about doing the show. This is not me. What I do with this show is absolutely 100% not me. I am not a public person. I am not a public speaker. I'm the type of person that would rather sit in the corner and just work. Just the way it is. So I'm already out of my element by doing this. So anyway, like I said, I wanted to discuss that. I wanted to address it, I should say. Let's see. As far as anything else, it's Thursday, which is kind of like our Friday. So tomorrow, I'm probably going to be working on cleaning up the little tent, and I'll probably just make a little video of what I'm doing, and whatnot. Probably put that over on the Dirt Cheap Preps channel and start getting stuff going over there as far as hydroponics. And I think that'd be kind of cool. So I'm going to get that started on hopefully tomorrow and go from there. Trying to think if there's anything else. I really can't think of anything. I don't know. It's just some of the news, some of the headlines I've got for you, I've been really thinking about all day. I'm a huge science nut. I've always been a huge science nut. And we've got one story in particular that has grabbed me and had a hold of my mind and just twisting it every which way but loose all day. And I just find it, I don't know, I'm awestruck by it. So we'll get to that. It's mind-blowing to me. I don't know. Especially considering, all the way up until my 30s, I wasn't a believer. And so everything for me was science-based. Everything had to be, science-based. And then once I started believing and once I started serving, things changed. But I never let go of that science. Never. And the more and more I dig, the more and more I find out that the two are interlinked. And it's very interesting to see some of this stuff unfold. I know I keep going on and on and on. I'll get to the story in a minute. I'm telling you, I haven't been able to get it out of my head all day. So let me go ahead and jump in, because I'm going to try to make it a relatively simple night, considering it is our Friday. And we'll go from there. So let me have a sip of coffee. We'll jump in. First story actually involves our hometown right here. Oh, man. Coffee is so good tonight. Alright. You guys might want to see as well. As you see the headline, let me have a vape. I'm going to make you wait. As you can see, I can't see it at this point. Okay, natural gas prices, gas bills rise as some residents see theirs doubling. Again, this story is right out of this town right here. And I don't happen to know this gentleman, but Brandon Griffiths has lived in Highland for years. As a homeowner, there are plenty of things to keep track of. I have my bills on automatic payment, and I check my bills regularly to keep an eye on everything, and I noticed it was a little high, Griffiths said. Griffiths is referring to his natural gas bill from Ameren, Illinois. He first realized a change in price in December. Now, here I'm going to explain our situation. We don't have gas anything here. And the way Highland works is if you do have natural gas, now that comes from Ameren, which is the big supplier in the state of Illinois. However, we don't have gas, so we don't have to deal with Ameren. We just have electric. And so we actually deal with the city of Highland, because what the city of Highland does is they buy electricity at a bulk rate from Ameren, and then they resell it to us. And so I don't know all the ins and outs, but from my understanding, they contract it, and that's why we can get in many instances we can get a little cheaper rates than what somebody that gets it directly from Ameren, just because of how they do it. So I don't know how electricity prices is in the state of Illinois right now. But as far as the city of Highland, our electricity that I know of hasn't really shot up. And probably the biggest reason why is because of that, bulk deal, that contract deal that's made between the city and Ameren. So luckily, the reason for our high bill this time around, which is, I believe, the second highest bill since we've been in Highland, period. It's a bit hefty, but thankfully not as bad as we thought it was going to be. The reason why is because we were using the furnace that's in the attic, an air handler or whatever. It was a test to see which method was more efficient, and it turns out that our oil heaters that we've got is more efficient than the air handler. So anyway, that's why we fortunately, we fortunately don't have to deal with this. But I feel for other folks that are here. I really do. Anyway, back onto the article. I just wanted to explain the difference there, because we don't, a lot of people in Illinois do have Ameren Electric, but we don't. We actually pay the city of Highland for our electric. And again, I don't know if the rates have gone up drastically for others in the state of Illinois or not. But anyway, continuing on. It made me go in there and kind of compare last year to now, and I said, no, this literally doubled in price, Griffiths said. He's right. The price of natural gas increased significantly over the last year. In 2021, Griffiths used 218 therms of gas, which was quoted by Ameren at 37 cents a therm. The total cost came out to $164.88. In January 2022, he used 179 therms, less than he did 1 year ago. This year, Ameren is quoted gas at nearly 70 cents a therm. Griffiths' January 2022 total came out to be $218.61, even though he used less gas. 10%, 20%, 30%, something like that is okay. That's understandable. I kind of disagree on the 20 and the 30%. But anyway, he says things go up, inflation, so on and so forth. But now we're at the point where it's literally doubled, and some people can absorb it, some people won't notice it, and others, this will hurt them a lot, Griffiths said. It would have sank us. If our heating costs doubled, we'd have been sunk completely. It says Griffiths said he contacted News 4 to let other people know to be sure to check their Ameren or other gas providers' bills. Ameren Illinois said they've included warnings about the natural gas price increases on customers' bills and other forms of Ameren's communication. This note was on one of Griffiths' bills, but not all. And it says on there natural gas costs have increased and yada yada yada. The price of natural gas has spiked significantly, reached a 13-year high, Tucker Kennedy said. Kennedy is the communications director for Ameren Illinois. He said Ameren charges a 1-to-1 on natural gas prices. That means they charge at face value, and there is no profit being made on Ameren's end. And if you believe that, I'll sell you a few bridges and all kinds of good stuff. I've got a moon base, by the way. I'll make you a real good deal on that moon base. It says we've seen an uptick in the economy as we've rebounded from COVID. More people are using natural gas. We also saw a situation where natural gas producers did not make as much natural gas as they had in the past because they were hedging. So it's really a classic supply and demand issue, Kennedy said. Yeah, anytime they want to ream you good, they always say, supply and demand. Each month, Ameren projects customers' future bills. Taking a look at Griffiths' bills, natural gas prices are continuing to climb. Although the Griffiths family is using less natural gas, their next bill is set to be $100 higher than January. Check your bills. Number one, don't let them just hit your account and not think twice about them. I think the message is just become aware, Griffiths said. Griffiths even reached out to his local state representative. He said he thinks lawmakers need to get involved and try to drive prices back down, or at least attempt to do so. And it goes on to say Ameren offers bill pay assistance programs, and you can click there for information. I don't know how the rest of the country's doing. We have talked about this before. We have discussed that at least I thought prices were going to go through the roof about natural gas. We've talked about that multiple times on this show before winter hit, or as as it was getting cooler. And I was just going by a trend. I was just going by what I was seeing around the country from reports that were coming out. And not having natural gas, I had no way to personally confirm it until I ran across this article. And this article just came out. It didn't come out today. I think it came out, yesterday is when this article came out. So I just happened to run across it on social media today and saw that it was particularly Highland that it was mentioning. So I thought, wow, that's interesting. So I'm telling you, I think there's going to be hard times to come. I don't think this is the end of it. I think prices are going to continue to spike. I don't think they're done going up. I really don't. Hopefully the price of energy, as far as electricity, hopefully it doesn't go up. Because, like I say, we barely get by. And even having a high bill puts us in a bad spot. So to imagine our bill actually doubling, yeah, that would, like I said, that would sink us. That would absolutely sink us. I don't know how some folks in this town are going to be able to get by. I really don't. It's a shame. It's an absolute shame. So anyway, let me have a sip of coffee here. I am dealing with a little bit of drainage, so not too bad though. I've been doing better actually. If you can't tell, I haven't been coughing up a storm or anything like that, so been doing quite a bit better. All right. I'm not even coughing a bunch in the mornings or anything when I get up. It's awesome. It's nice for a change. 2 found dead, 2 in critical condition at North Carolina nursing home. I really thought this was a mind-blowing article. It says here, an investigation is underway after 2 residents were found dead at Pine Ridge Health and Rehabilitation Center in Thomasville, North Carolina, police said Thursday. On Sunday night, police said they started getting calls from people who could not reach the nursing home staff by phone. Some residents, they said, hadn't seen any staff at the facility. When officers arrived, police determined that staffing was, quote-unquote, inadequate, with only 1 licensed practical nurse and 2 certified nursing assistants to care for the 98 patients. Officers called in firefighters and paramedics to help check on the patients. Crews were on scene until Monday morning. Emergency responders found 2 of the nursing home residents dead. 2 others were in critical condition. It is unclear if the deaths were a result of neglect or if the deaths were from natural causes. Police are waiting for the results of the autopsies. One of the residents in critical condition is on life support due to untreated breathing complications, according to her son. He told Nexstar's WGHP she was found inside of her room by authorities on Sunday night. On Monday, Pine Ridge Health and Rehabilitation Center sent out courtesy calls to the families of the residents, saying that some staff members were unable to come in due to the weather and that Davidson County Emergency Management assisted in providing care. The call was recorded by someone who received the voicemail. This is ridiculous. And whoever was even remotely involved or even in knowledge of what was going on should have to pay for it. And I don't mean monetarily. There should be criminal charges filed. If you're in that kind of position, it's time to reach out. It's time to get on that phone and make some phone calls. It's time to call somebody and say, hey, we don't have the staff. We've got 98 patients. We've got 1 licensed practical nurse, and we've got 2 nursing assistants available. We need help. But they didn't do that. That's concerning. And to me, man, these folks that were involved in this need the book thrown at them. This is ridiculous. What's really bothering about this whole situation is that more and more it's commonality for families to send their elderly family members to nursing homes. You know, back in the day, more often, family would take care of the elderly. And when my grandpa passed away, my mom took in my grandma. And the reason my mom took in my grandma is because she said there was no way in hell she would put her in a nursing facility. And if you're wondering why my mom would say that, it was because my mom worked in one. She did that for years. She was a CNA for years. She knew what it was like for people in a nursing facility. So my mom took care of my grandma, and, you know, my mom didn't quit work or anything. No, my mom had to work, but we took care of grandma for as long as we possibly could. And at some point she had dementia, and at some point she had to go for 24-hour assisted care. There was no choice. But it was so far along at that time that my grandma didn't live much longer after that. And yeah, it wasn't easy. I'll say that. It wasn't easy, especially for, I'm her grandson, obviously. I wasn't very old. I couldn't tell you exactly the age I was. Probably 9, 10, 11. I'm kind of throwing a dart at a dartboard there. Somewhere around that age, though. And no, it wasn't easy. It was really bothersome for me to see my grandma argue with people that weren't there, for her not to know my name, stuff like that. It was rough, but I remembered Mom's talks, and I don't remember who she was talking to, but I remember Mom talking about there's no way in hell I'd put her in a nursing home, you know, and I remember hearing her say why and all that. So it wasn't, you know, it was kind of bothersome on an emotional level. I guess it was troubling, but both then and even now, I still think it was the right decision, and I really do wish we would get back to this, to where family would take care of family instead of just outsourcing others to do it. I don't know. We have really, in my opinion, went a wrong direction in society in pretty much about every way. And this is certainly one of them. Anyway, didn't mean to really go on about that for so long, but it just gets me, right? Here's another thing. I urge people to homeschool. Left and right. I urge people to homeschool. And there's a multitude of reasons. This article here, video appears to confirm Ohio school worker forced student to eat from the trash. Yeah, security camera footage obtained by WOIO in a public records request appear to confirm a student's claim that a school employee made her eat unwanted food after she threw it in a garbage can. The video is shocking, it's disheartening, it's disturbing, and it's what this child has been saying since the beginning, said Jared Klebanow, I think it's Klebanow, the attorney representing the girl's family. Cleveland filed a federal civil lawsuit against Lorain City School District in December, claiming the lunchroom monitor at Palm Elementary School pulled a waffle out of the trash can after the student discarded it. The lawsuit claimed the child was then forced to eat the food. After an internal investigation, the employee and the school principal were fired. The district released the following findings. A student deposited a package of food into the trash can in the presence of 2 staff members. One of the staff members immediately removed the package of food, wiped it off, and gave it back to the student. The student opened the package and ate the food in it. The student's parent came to the school and complained that her daughter was given food to eat after the package was thrown into the trash can. The school's principal received the complaint but failed to take appropriate action. Any infringement upon the dignity and respect of our students will not be tolerated, said Superintendent Jeff Graham. Our students deserve staff members who are able to make good decisions in all situations, and any staff member who is unable to deliver on that promise is unwelcome in our schools. Latasha Williams said her daughter became physically ill after consuming the food. She added that she lost her job because of missed work due to caring for her. It literally flipped my whole family upside down, she told WOIO in December. She has changed at home. She doesn't act the same. She doesn't even want to go to school. The lawsuit seeks admission of wrongdoing, a collaborative effort to prevent such incidents in the future, and an undetermined amount of money. You know, this stuff can take a massive toll on a child. A massive toll. And it's not okay. I can't urge people enough to homeschool. Again, for a multitude of reasons. Thought this story was a little bit crazy. By the way, we're like 2 stories away from the one I found so incredibly awe-inspiring. I just do. It just, I don't know. I'll be thinking about it for days. Tax collectors to demand facial recognition ID. How do you like that? I'm only going to read probably to about here, but it says, a new kind of digital identification requiring the user to submit their personal data to a private company in Virginia, including a live video of their face from their cell phone or computer webcam, will be the only way Americans can create an account with the Internal Revenue Service starting the summer of 2022. Old login credentials will stop working later this year, and the only way to log into irs.gov will be by using the ID.me, an online identity verification service run by a company in McLean, Virginia, just outside the Capitol Beltway. This is according to investigative journalist Brian Krebs, who went through the procedure of creating an account for himself this week. The service requires applicants to supply a great deal more information than typically requested for online verification schemes, such as scans of their driver's license or other government-issued ID, copies of utility or insurance bills, and details about their mobile phone service, Krebs wrote. Now this is insane. You want to talk about overreach. This is, I don't like the idea of facial recognition. Not for a second. Not for a second. About the only thing that I can remotely understand is a scanned copy of a driver's license or government-issued ID. I don't, copies of utilities or insurance bills, I'm assuming they want to verify address with that. I'm assuming that's the reason for that, but they should be able to get that from the ID. But then to demand details about your mobile phone service, now that's where things get a little bit creepy. It says here the phone verification requires a mobile or landline number, no voice over IP services like Skype, In Krebs' case, the verification process stalled, requiring a live chat and a note he would have to wait for 3.5 hours for someone to contact him. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And this is just one way that the government is doing two things. Okay? Hang on. This is one way they're doing two things. For one, they're massively intruding on you. That's one. And the second thing, and I keep warning about this, the government is using a private business, a private industry, to intrude on you. I'm telling you, that's how Hitler got away with it. That's how Hitler got away with what he did. He didn't personally kill anybody. He didn't personally track the people. He hired IBM to track them. You know, I mean, this is the stuff we have to. We are watching this stuff happen right before our own eyes, and I keep screaming it out. I can't believe it, and I have to believe that there were people back in Germany that were doing this very same thing. Of course, they didn't have YouTube and what have you, but I'm sure they had, you know, what would you call it? Pirate radio stations for one. I'm sure they may have had that, maybe, but I'm sure they had folks that were doing newsletters and stuff like that. I'm sure there had to be people speaking out back during Nazi Germany. I haven't studied that much in depth to know, you know, to be able to say, okay, I'm aware of this, I'm aware of that. But I'm pretty sure somebody had to have been speaking out. And the masses just wouldn't listen. And it is, it's a pretty hopeless feeling. It really is. Because, I mean, again, I get that I'm really good with pattern recognition. I'm really good with comprehension. I get that. But you would think that others would pay a little more attention, especially when you directly point things like this out. Because this is a big deal. Like I say, the details about your mobile phone service, that's creepy. That's flat out creepy. There's reasons for that, why it's creepy. I don't have the time to get into all that right now. But, basically, if you give somebody access to your mobile device, they've got your entire life. For the most part, for most people. So they've got not only a massive history on you, but they've got a massive database that they can continue to build. Right? You've got most cameras, or most phones have at least 2 cameras on them now. They've all got microphones. These days, as far as I know, they all have GPS. You know, it's incredible the amount of information that can be gotten from somebody just from their phone. Which really worries me, because Hitler didn't have all that at his disposal. We're not in a good spot. Scientists want a global ban on sun dimming. Wait a minute, I thought there was no such thing. What? Those crazy conspiracy theorists? We've only been telling you for like over a decade, yo. An international group of scientists and experts want all nations to sign a pact banning public funding for deployment of solar geoengineering, too late, as well as outdoor experiments revolving around ways to dim the sun. Solar geoengineering at planetary scale is not governable in a globally inclusive and just manner within the current international political system, the researchers wrote in an open letter published in the Wiley Interdisciplinary Review's Climate Change Journal this week. The concept of solar geoengineering aims to lower temperatures on Earth by using modern technology to reduce the incoming sunlight. The proposals include the spraying of aerosols into the stratosphere to stop the spread of solar energy. Some see this as a potential response to global warming. I thought that was all crazy talk, right? Just crazy talk. But the authors of a letter warned about uncertainties surrounding the effects of such technologies on weather, agriculture, and the supply of food and water. The letter argued that the world's poorest nations will be left highly vulnerable unless powerful countries place the technology of such planetary scale under international control. But what's not really being said, and it's not going to be said in here, is that there are other things that have to be done in order to be able to grow, like especially crops and stuff on a large scale as a result of everything that they're doing. Because, folks, they're already doing this. They've been doing this for a long time now. And that is one of the reasons why you see companies like Monsanto and others coming out with their certain GMO products and stuff like that. There's certain types of fertilizers and this, that, and the other thing, is so that stuff can grow in the soil that they're ruining. So I would say the biggest impact on the countries that are smaller and more financially challenged is being able to buy things like Monsanto's seeds, as an example. This is not good, but we've been warning about this for over a decade. And people still, I know people to this day, I could show them this article and they would still tell me that I'm crazy. I need to go put on my tinfoil hat. It's mind-blowing. This is the story that's just got me just awestruck. Black hole, let me have a sip of coffee. And when I say black hole, I'm not talking about my ex-wife. I'm just saying. Just saying. Okay, it was uncalled for, but it was fun. Nah, that'd be more like dark matter. Anyway, black hole seen giving birth to stars. It says here, NASA's Hubble telescope captures nursery of newborn stars connected by an umbilical cord to a black hole in a nearby galaxy. When I read that, I was just like, wow. And I mean, the gears in my head just started spinning at 1,000,000 miles a minute. And still are, quite frankly. So let me just read. I'm not going to read a lot of this because most of it will probably bore most of you. But I'm just going to read the first couple of paragraphs here. It says, as long as it contains the good stuff, I think it does. A black hole has been observed triggering the birth of new stars in a nearby dwarf galaxy, suggesting that the mysterious cosmic phenomena are more than just villainous destructive objects that violently consume everything around them. Using NASA's Hubble Space Telescope, researchers spotted the black hole at the heart of a galaxy known as, I don't know if it's Hines 2-10, located some 30 million light years away from the Pyxis constellation. The black hole is apparently adding to the firestorm of new star formation in Hines 2-10, according to the findings published on Wednesday in the Nature Journal. I do have to read a little further. Given the smaller size of Hines 2-10, which contained only a tenth of the number of stars in the Milky Way, the black hole is not as massive as those found in larger galaxies. Its mass has been estimated to be around 1 million times that of the Sun. This has meant that the outflow of plasma, the ionized gas, from the black hole is comparatively gentler, allowing gas clouds to compress in a way that is conducive to creating new stars. To me, this is just unreal. Okay, I got to read down to here to get to it. It says in larger galaxies, any material that falls towards the black hole is quickly destroyed by the powerful magnetic fields that surround it. This process creates jets of plasma that travel at almost the speed of light. Gas clouds caught in the blast become too hot to cool down and form stars. In contrast, Hubble spectroscopy showed the researchers that the outflow in the Hines 2-10 black hole was only moving at about 1 million miles per hour. This low-velocity outflow arrived at a region with a dense cocoon of gas, slamming into it like a garden hose hitting a pile of dirt before spreading out and creating newborn star clusters. One more. The event was likened by NASA to an umbilical cord attached to a bright stellar nursery. It was captured by Hubble as a corkscrew-like pattern in the velocities of the gas, which researcher Amy Rines said was smoking gun proof that the activity was related to a black hole and not the remains of a supernova explosion at the end of a massive star's life. This, to me, is just wow. I mean, new stars, the birth of stars, and something that appeared to be like an umbilical cord. Now maybe that don't fascinate many people like it does me. But I think about that. I think about new life in the galaxy. And I think about new life in human beings. And I think about same as above, same as below. And it's just mind-blowing. I love science. I love the Word of God. And I love when I see the two connect. And as we are advancing more and more technologically, those two are becoming within a much firmer grip of one another. And it's amazing. I love it. I can't remember the name of the documentary off the top of my head, but there was a documentary I watched. I've talked about it on the show before. And essentially what the documentary was doing was using science to prove the existence of God. And it was an amazing documentary. It was awesome. And this is just one more thing to be added to that, in my opinion. Anyway, I found it amazing. Many people may not, but I'm a science guy. Doomsday clock at 100 seconds to midnight. World stuck in an extremely dangerous moment. So we didn't go up and we didn't go down. We stayed. Just like last year, we stayed at 100 seconds to midnight. So don't need to really go deep into that, but why will that not close? Uh-oh. Hang on, let me make sure I didn't, yeah, see, I did close more than I needed to. There we go. Sorry about that. Natural COVID Delta immunity more effective than vaccinations, says a CDC study. So YouTube, I'm sorry, I'm reading a report on CDC study. So, but that didn't stop them last time from nailing me. The study published on Wednesday by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found that as the Delta variant became the dominant coronavirus strain during the second half of 2021, people who were vaccinated were 6 times less likely to catch COVID-19 than those who hadn't been jabbed. However, those who had been infected with an earlier variant of the coronavirus but hadn't been vaccinated were between 15 and 29 times less likely to catch the virus. A similar difference was noticed in hospitalization rates, with prior immunity conferring better protection against hospitalization than vaccination. What am I going to say? I mean, what can we do? You know, I was telling people 2 years ago that if they were worried about contracting COVID, to use nothing less than an N95 mask, that a cloth mask was just not going to do it. And it took them 2 years to tell you the truth. 2 years. How many people have gotten strikes on YouTube? How many people have gotten suspended or what have you, put in Facebook jail? How many people have been, same thing on Twitter, reprimanded in whichever way, for telling you the truth? I have to believe that at some point there's going to be retribution for this. I have to believe that. And, I mean, come on, we go the other direction. Austria makes COVID vaccines mandatory. Ridiculous. An overwhelming majority of Austrian MPs voted on Thursday to force their citizens to get vaccinated against COVID-19, with those who refuse facing fines up to €3,600 or $4,000. After 137 MPs voted for compulsory vaccination and only 33 opposed, isn't that astonishing? The bill now heads to the upper house to be debated and approved. As Austria's governing parties, a coalition of center-right People's Party and the Greens, hold a majority in this chamber, its passage is virtually guaranteed. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I don't have any idea of what to tell those folks. I mean, I do, but I'll get in trouble, so I can't. Sad. And again, reminds me of another time in history. Except this time, it's the world, not one country. North Korea mulls reviving all temporarily suspended defensive activities. So I'm not going to read into that. Just know that they're, little Kim is going nah, 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 again. So we got to keep mind of that. Let's see. China warns off U.S. destroyer. Says here the Chinese military said naval and aerial assets were deployed on Tuesday in response to a so-called freedom of navigation mission conducted by the guided missile destroyer USS Benfold in the South China Sea. The Arleigh Burke-class ship illegally entered the area near the Paracel Islands, which Beijing calls the Xisha Islands, and claims are under its sovereignty. A spokesman for the Southern Theater Command of the People's Liberation Army reported on Thursday the command dispatched naval and air forces to follow and ultimately warn off the American warship, the spokesman Colonel Tian Junli said. So that is kind of heating up a little bit. I have a vape. We got a couple quick ones here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, but I got a couple of them involving Russia. Oh, man. Crazy times. Oops. I'm resizing Windows. 1 second. U.S. warns it may ban chip exports. Yikes. Bells are ringing like crazy. Things going on. Hang on. Let me make sure all is well there. Okay. Let's see. U.S. warns it may ban chip exports to Russia. So, I'm not going to get into all of it. I mean, you get the gist from the headline right here. It just says the White House has warned U.S. chip makers it may curb exports to Russia if tensions between Moscow and Kiev escalate. So, yeah. Mr. Walking Back Biden there. Putin's battle plans and Ukraine invasion maps as uncovered by Western media. This is insanity here, because it's like, really? And who was it that pointed it out? Somebody made a video and pointed out the obvious that, well, they wouldn't look like that, right? You wouldn't, I mean, this might be understandable here, but as we scroll down, the pictures of snipers, and I think it might have been Southern Prepper 1, I'm not sure. But you got pictures of snipers and tanks and, people practicing with rifles and fancy planes superimposed over on the plans here. I mean, it's really done up nice and laid out beautifully, isn't it? And the other thing is are Russians' plans on invasion going to be written in English? I laugh, but there's a very dangerous aspect to this. And that aspect is the fact that our media is trying to stoke fear into people. Our media, in the end, could be responsible for conflict. And that's the sobering part of all of this. That we may be led into war by none other than the same ones that's been lying to you for the last 2 years and doing everything they can to steal your freedoms, or at least assist in stealing your freedoms away from you. And again, let me remind you, this isn't one nation. This is a global effort. That's concerning. That's concerning. Anyway, I reckon we're at that time. We can run through these and get the heck out of here for the week. But not until I have my contracted sip of coffee and vapes. And if it's not in the contract, I've got a pen. All right. Let's see. All of them from today. Biden asked why Americans think he's not mentally fit. Worst ecological disaster triggered by Hunga Tonga volcano off Peru coast. I covered that one. Germany drops new hint on Nord Stream 2. Foreigners selling up property in Kiev, says an expert. Russia suggests how U.S. could seal a security deal, and I'll just break it down to the same thing, a promise in writing that NATO won't expand. Still the same thing. We're still balking on making that promise. Let's see. Top German government officials probed over suspected embezzlement. Ukrainian president responds to invasion fears. Yuan rises in ranks of top global currencies. Macron slammed for turning EU into Africa's hotel and Beijing's prey. CIA comments on claims that most Havana syndrome cases caused by foul play, says the media. Killer virus leaves bunnies bleeding to death en masse, and that's happening in this country. Apparently, the rabbits that get it have a fatality rate of 80 to 100%. That's concerning. Telegram threatened with removal from app stores in EU country. Sputnik 5 highly effective against Omicron, says a study. Arrest in UK over Texas synagogue hostage situation. Texas synagogue hostage taker explains his actions prior to his death. Russia set for a complete ban on cryptocurrencies. World Bank rips Microsoft purchase of Activision Blizzard and social justice rant. Didn't kill himself the first time. Did Epstein really attempt suicide? It's a pretty good article. Death rate from drug-resistant infections compared to malaria and AIDS. Let's see. Covered that one. Psychological trauma can be inherited, says a study. And I have no doubt of that. I really have no doubt of that. British government accused of blackmailing PM's opponents. M&M's unveils changes to candy mascots. NATO teases massive Arctic drill. West trying to provoke war in Ukraine, Russia claims. U.S. youth mortality rate twice as high as other wealthy nations, says a report. Ex-Pope Benedict the 16th, I had to figure that out, knew about, I wasn't going to tell you, XVI, no, 16, knew about child sex abuse, says a report. I'm sure he did. Just like the rest of them from since Lord knows when. Sexual abuse victims to receive $490 million. That's not from the popes. That's from University of Michigan. U.S. college officials announce new trans athlete policy. Journalists boycott Macron EU press conference as no questions taken. I bet Biden wishes that would happen about now. Tulsi Gabbard blasts warmongers in the White House. Moscow gives green light for new showdown with Washington. Russia's non-energy exports booming, says a report. New law bans laughing at weddings. Yeah, that's no joke. This is in Russia. They're banning laughing, drinking alcohol, and talking loudly. So those things are, I guess, banned at weddings. Imagine that. Real-life Aquaman survives after tsunami. Caitlyn Jenner blasts record-breaking trans swimmer. And, you know, I got to at least, sorry, I'm going to say it, I at least have to give Bruce a round of applause for speaking out on this. So just like I'm going to continue to speak out on my beliefs. Amazon will tell you what to wear. Apparently they're opening a physical clothing store. A country's Winter Olympians denied special plane because of tensions with Russia. Psaki and Harris explained Biden's 2022 election remark. Now, somebody's got to, because Biden done forgot he said it. Donbass militia head claims Ukraine planning a false flag operation. Paris to tackle its notorious problem. What, your like your mayor and your president? Oh, no, not that problem. Is the Sputnik 5 COVID vaccine really more effective than Pfizer against Omicron? It's just an article on them. China slams France's deliberate slander. Statue of U.S. President removed from New York Museum. Meta eyes major expansion in new sectors, says reports. It's going to get into the NFT marketplace, is what they're going to do. Top Russian senator blasts Americans' amazing stupidity. January 6th panel calls Ivanka Trump for an interview. White House backtracks on Biden's minor incursion remark. Well, yeah, because it kind of raised a bunch of hell. Let's see. Covered those. Ukraine hits back at Biden, hints that NATO could ignore minor Russian incursion. They weren't very happy about that. Moscow slams American reporters over Biden press conference. Let's see. Security talks with West not very inspiring, a Russian diplomat tells RT. Iranian president tells RT if new nuclear deal is possible. Russia should recognize breakaway Eastern Ukrainian Republic, says the communists. I mean, we kind of make deals with terrorists now instead of back in the Reagan days where we didn't negotiate with them. Now we make deals with them. Now we give them countries back, and it's ridiculous. Jordan Peterson drops tenured professorship. I'll maybe get it out. Blasts stunningly corrupt enterprise. Killers of hero general must face justice, Iranian president tells RT. Covered that. Space-based entertainment studio set to launch in 2 years. Just what we need. Pelosi makes an about face on insider trading in Congress. She is nothing but an about face. That's about a face. Red Cross hackers steal info on 500,000 vulnerable people. Natural gas prices. Oh, I covered that one. Fed explores future of digital dollar. Kyle Rittenhouse wants his gun back. And before anybody thinks anything that it's not, he wants it back to destroy it. That's what he wants to do. He wants to destroy it. So, let's see. Elon Musk nears human testing on brain chip. That should be a bit of a concerning article as well. So, that's it. We don't have any new ones popped up since we've started doing the show. So, I think that covers it. I know I'm ready to scoot on out of here and start our weekend. And like I say, tomorrow I'll probably do some cleanup in the small grow tent. Get it set back up. I'll record some content of doing it, and maybe by the time Shabbat gets here, before Shabbat gets here, I'll be able to have some lettuce planted. So, anyway, I am out of here. I hope you all have a good weekend. God willing, we'll be back on Sunday night. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.